Hey, we're back with round 3 of BCDL5. This match, we have Josh Shields joining us for his match against Randy Lintz, who's on lands. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing well.
So,
Excited to give some commentary.
yeah, glad to have you. So, right now, the players are just giving me all their worldly possessions and shuffling up. Yeah, get your.
Hmm. Definitely didn't read that contract that closely.
Yeah, I drafted it that morning. I now own everything you see.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah. So, Randy's on lands. Kind of what's your plan on the rag saga deck?
Um, so definitely there are a couple different ways that you can win this matchup, but like the biggest thing that stood out to me as the plan A was just stick a Ragavan to like get an early Ragavan and hopefully they don't have Punishing Fire. And if they don't have that, like lands will often take a good couple hits. And if you get your rag hits in, then you probably get to like dodge their whole mana disruption, which is what they're looking to do. So I keep a hand here that has like a Tundra, a Brainstorm, a Force of Days, and a Ragavan. And I'm just like, at this, I think it also might have a prismatic ending, which I felt like should be particularly good versus the Mox Diamond Exploration deck. So I was generally pretty happy with this hand, but like the Brainstorm needs to find a red source for this to come together. Also, one other thing to mention, in this hand there's also the Crucible, which should be really good. I was playing a one of Crucible in my list for matchups that'll probably end up being grindy like this, and it seemed like it would be insane here if I could get to stick it. So my whole game plan was like find find a red source for Saga, use the Ragavan to get mana to cast the Crucible, and hopefully ride that to victory.
Yeah, Randy's playing
Unfortunately,
three punishing fires there, and then the Mox Diamond. Okay, so
yeah. So unfortunately, what happens here is he plays the Mox Diamond, and I think I kind of need to daze that, otherwise the daze won't end up being live later. Which prompts me to brainstorm to hopefully hit the red source so I can play Ragavan on my next turn and get that going. But I don't find a second land, so now I'm just locked under my brainstorm.
that's okay. I mean, you slowed him down pretty good. See, you would have had a pretty explosive start there with the
Yeah,
double Mox Diamond.
I was pretty happy with how all this was shaping up, except for like I had all of the pieces that I wanted if I could find, you know, the second land here. He plays a Valakut exploration, which I definitely had to read. Uh, but seems like it just goes insane with everything that they're doing. But at this point, I'm like just kind of trying to figure out how I can possibly win this game, how to like buy enough time to get out from, to actually draw some lands to get to play the game. Um, I think I definitely go ahead and force this here just because I feel like I don't really have a choice, but I think I debate what to pitch. I don't,
Yeah, you're in kind of deep at this point. I mean, if
yeah,
the exploration resolves.
yeah, I'm just straight up dead to a wasteland. I have a Saga in my hand that like is the one thing I can do, but it doesn't really do anything unless I can I need that mana probably to cast my Crucible maybe, and I don't want it to just expire before I actually draw that land. Maybe it was right to play this turn, um, but I don't know, it's all kind of just a how far can I get, and then, he just has the Dark Depths here and have absolutely nothing for this.
So I see the stifle in your hand at that point. How was the stifle throughout the day for you?
It was generally pretty good. Did what it was supposed to, which was mostly just tagging fetch lands. It's not particularly great in this matchup, except you actually have a reasonably real game plan of just, finding their weak point on mana, because it's not that hard to actually cut them off of green, which is pretty huge when you can get it rolling. But so like if you can tag their couple of fetches, that'd be fine here too. But this is definitely not the matchup for it. It was good generally, but not here.
Yeah, so you end up losing game one. Just you kind of had no chance with the mana. And that's sometimes them's the breaks. So
Yep.
what's your plan for game two?
Uh, Post board, it's honestly still more of the same. They definitely struggle with like, I think they struggle to actually kill a Murktide, and their real best answer to it is just Mazavith, but you can kind of check that with Wastelands. It's scary because they have kind of all of like your standard angles of attack reasonably covered, but just trying to play efficient disruption for what they're trying to do. Like you can interact with everything that they're trying to do basically. You can interact with loam loops with the Soul Guide Lantern, which can be grabbed by Saga. You can use Force of Negation, which I have a couple on the board. You can interact with all of their pressure points, but they can kind of interact with yours as well. So I'm just kind of trying to take out the cards that I think are the worst, which here is Stifle, and just put in more live ones.
Yeah,
That's
the
about it.
stifle and the standstills. I like cutting those in
Yeah,
this matchup.
for sure. I wasn't actually sure if Randy was on Saga as well. I know Lands often is now, but um, yeah. Uh, it's also actually, it's not the worst thing. It's a bit taxing on your mana, but your mana in this deck is really, really bad, and one of the best things your Stifle can actually do, and did come up that day, was stifling just opposing wastelands to protect your own mana. That is really huge because the you just don't actually have that many colored sources in the deck, and protecting sagas can also be really powerful. Um, I definitely did end up cutting it here because I was just on. I felt that like easily the most important card in the matchup would just be trying to get an early Ragavan to just negate all of that early pressure or early taxing on mana. And I have ways to interact with like Punishing Fire, and they need to have like they need to assemble Punishing Fire plus um
Yeah, the
plus
Grove. I
yeah,
assume
the
he's
Grove, in order
playing.
to actually get it together. So like it's not hard for them to miss on that, is what I'm saying, which made me kind of want to go on Ragavan plan. And then if that doesn't work, Murktide is also good. But plus the like it didn't come up here, but the one of Crucible did seem insane to me here. And later on I ended up playing Randy again in the quarters, and Crucible was just absolutely insane there, and was part of the reason I made it out of quarterfinals.
Yeah, I love the one of Crucible. That was something I hadn't seen in these lists at that point. I think it was a great inclusion.
Mhm. I was, yeah, pretty happy with it. Uh, so here I keep a hand that has a brainstorm to like really make the it was a relatively land heavy hand, but it had a brainstorm and a force of negation. But the brainstorm was the only blue card. I was really hoping to not burn the brainstorm on the force, but I don't think you can let lands have an unchecked exploration. I think that's just like it's way too easy for them to go crazy with exploration. I think that card is just worth fighting over. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I think there's
Yeah.
just too much that they can do with two lands. And I think that's the right call. I mean, they have so
Yeah.
few actual spells that, the ones they do have are pretty important.
Yeah, I mean, Force of Negation, I do think like has a lot of really good targets in this matchup specifically, like being able to permanently exile Punishing Fire or Loam is really insane. I just didn't have faith on like on Brainstorm immediately finding me Prismatic Ending, which is I think the only way that I don't just immediately lose to the Exploration.
Yeah. So this blast zone really seems to kind of be keeping some of your options in check here.
Probably, though at this point I think I just like um my hand is literally just lands at this point
Yeah.
because that's pretty much all I've drawn. And then this Ponder sees a Saga, another land, and a Prismatic Ending, but the ending doesn't have any hits. And or no, is it just two lands in it? I think it's a Saga. No, it's a Talk and no, that's my hand. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
The hand is Prismatic and or the Ponder sees Prismatic Ending, um, Saga, and a Fetch, which I can take one of these. It's like how effective do I think the Saga is going to be? Because obviously the Prismatic Ending has no targets on this board, and it doesn't look like they're going to present one. So I take the Saga and plan on shuffling away the rest, and hoping that this Saga like cobbles together um actually relevant things to do. Unfortunately, once again, here's the Dark Depths combo, and here's my hand of only lands.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for Swords to Plowshares to keep the game alive. Kind of surprised Randy actually lets me get this far, because this draw step lets me find maybe a wasteland that actually like checks this whole thing. Um, and gives me more time because he can't just copy the Dark Depths there. Um,
Yeah.
but I draw, and I think I just draw yet
Is that
another
another
land.
land? No,
Yep,
that is.
looks like it. So that is
Ooh,
that is how that match goes.
that's rough. Well,
Yep.
thanks for joining us this round, and maybe we'll see you again.
Yeah. Glad to commentate.